It's 6 p.m. on a Monday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che, here to provide you with the latest. Let's begin with the headlines. As the National Assembly gathered to mark the start of their term in Parliament, President Park Geun-hye and the newly elected Assembly Speaker both emphasized the need to focus on the economy and people's livelihoods. North Korea hacks into the management software of a South Korean computer network. According to Seoul police, more than 42,000 documents were leaked, including military secrets. The world responds with horror and sympathy over the Orlando terror attack that killed 50 people. An investigation into the shooter reveals ties to the Islamic State and mental and emotional instability. The 20th National Assembly had its official opening ceremony this morning. President Park Geun-hye delivered an opening speech to the full assembly. She called on lawmakers to work with her administration and one another to boost the economy, improve people's livelihoods, and counter North Korean threats. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
Harmony and collaboration. President Park said the two concepts are what the people anticipate from the new parliament and called on lawmakers to put the people first. She added that there can be no ruling or opposition parties when it comes to the people. Pointing to the economic challenges facing the country, the president also called for passage bills aimed at reviving the economy, as the previous assembly declined to pass reform bills related to her key policy initiatives.
앞으로 20대 국회에서는 이런 민생과 직결되는 법안들이 좀 더 일찍 통과되어 국민들의 고통을 조금이라도 덜어드릴 수 있도록 협조해 주시기를 바랍니다.
President Park also mentioned her recent trips to East Africa and Iran and characterized them as attempts to explore new markets, while noting that restructuring and deregulation are the only way to create new growth engines and jobs. She also invited lawmakers to join her efforts to gain international consensus and turn up the pressure on North Korea, and thanked them for passing a North Korean human rights bill in the 19th National Assembly.
앞으로 북한이 핵을 포기하고 폐쇄와 고립에서 벗어나 남북이 보다 평화롭고 번영된 삶을 누리는 길을 열어가는데 제20대 국회가 함께해 주실 것으로 믿습니다.
Seeking to lay the groundwork for a more cooperative politics, Park called the lawmakers a partner in state affairs and reiterated her vow last month to improve communication with the parliament and hold regular meetings with the leaders of main political parties. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
After the president, the assembly speaker was setting the tone with his speech as well. And after their addresses, lawmakers responded instantly. Kim Young-gil has their varied reactions.
Korea's 300 new and returning lawmakers took oaths to abide by the Constitution and serve the public at the opening ceremony for the 20th National Assembly on Monday. In his keynote speech, Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun said it is Parliament's duty to take responsibility for both the country and the people. He also said lawmakers have a duty to put Korea's stagnant economy back on track as the country is heading into a long recession. In addition, Chung, who as Speaker has no party affiliation, urged the rival parties to work together to tackle the challenges the country is facing and vowed to do his best to support them. Chung also said it is necessary to amend the Constitution, which was last revised in 1987, though he didn't elaborate on the reasons for his remark.
The manner of revising the Constitution cannot be dealt with lightly, nor can it be ignored. Someone must do it.
Following the Speaker's remarks, President Park Geun-hye offered a congratulatory speech in which she called for greater cooperation with her administration from lawmakers. The three main parties had mixed reactions to the president's remarks.
It was a sincere speech welcoming the opening of the 20th National Assembly and respecting lawmakers as partners in the execution of state affairs.
The speech lacked humble acceptance of the people's judgment in the April general election or a will to reflect the people's will in the management of state affairs.
The president should first have apologized for not showing the kind of cooperative spirit that she had promised party leaders at the meeting May 13th.
Despite their criticism, the opposition parties also welcomed the president's affirmation of an earlier proposal to hold regular meetings with parliamentary leaders. The next task for the three political parties is deciding which members to name for the 18 standing parliamentary committees, which they're aiming to do as soon as possible. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
South Korean Foreign Minister Byungse is in Moscow. Yoon sits down today with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov as part of the Korean diplomat's first visit to the country since he took office in 2013. Seoul's top diplomat is expected to enhance cooperation with Moscow in imposing sanctions on Pyongyang. It's been about 100 days since the UN Security Council announced its strongest set of sanctions on the regime following its nuclear and long-range ballistic missile test earlier this year. Yoon's visit is also part of efforts to pressure the reclusive state to give up its nuclear weapons program. South Korea has been seeking cooperation with Pyongyang's allies, namely Iran, Uganda, and Cuba, over the past month. Another cyber attack by North Korea. By hacking into South Korean computers, Pyongyang gained access to over 40,000 documents, some of which contain sensitive military information. The South police say the regime may have been preparing a large-scale cyber attack from as early as February. Kim Yeon-bin tells us more.
South Korea's National Police Agency says North Korea hacked into a software program that manages computer networks in the South. It said over 42,000 documents from two conglomerates, SK Group and Hanjin Group, were leaked in February. Hanjin is the parent company of Korea's top airline, Korean Airlines, which also develops military jets. The leaked data includes data on military communication networks and design drawings for the wing of the U.S. F-15 fighter jet. But police said there was no leak of crucial information, such as blueprints for aviation engines or military secrets. The internet address was traced to Ryugyongdong Hotel in Pyongyang, the exact location used for a 2013 cyber attack on South Korean broadcasting stations and banks. The management network was made by a civilian company, and it links all computers in the network, making it possible for the hackers to erase and update the software. Some 160 conglomerates and government agencies use this software. Police said they began the investigation after receiving tips that the North distributed suspected malicious codes in February. Police also said North Korea was preparing for a large-scale cyber attack on over 130,000 South Korean computers. Kim Yeon-bin, Arirang News.
South Korea's defense chief will meet with his French counterpart in Paris this week for talks on North Korea's ever-growing nuclear threats. According to Seoul's defense ministry on Monday, Han Min-gu will depart Tuesday for a 3-day trip aimed at enhancing defense cooperation between the two countries. It will mark the first trip to France by a South Korean defense minister since 2007. Topping the agenda, North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile threats and denuclearization of the peninsula. Minister Han is also scheduled to visit the Korean War Memorial in France and speak to students at several defense-related universities. Outside of Korea, the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history has left 50 dead and dozens injured in Orlando, Florida. The city of Orlando has started releasing the names of the victims while police investigates the shooter's ties to terrorism after he swore allegiance to ISIS. Just hours after the violence in Orlando, police avert what appears to have been another planned attack in California. Hwang Ho-jun has the latest.
The gunman, armed with an assault rifle, killed 50 people and left at least 53 injured in the terror attack at a gay nightclub in Orlando. The suspect, who has been identified as Omar Mateen, held several people hostage for about 3 hours before he was shot dead after a shootout with police inside the Pulse nightclub. He was a U.S. citizen and son of Afghan immigrants. NBC News reports that Mateen called emergency services before the attack and swore allegiance to the Islamic State militant group. ISIS later claimed responsibility through its Amaq news agency. However, links with ISIS have not been confirmed. U.S. President Barack Obama condemned the attack, calling it an act of terror and an act of hate on all Americans. He ordered all official flags throughout the U.S. be lowered to half-staff this week to honor the victims.
Today, as Americans, we grieve the brutal murder, a horrific massacre of dozens of innocent people. We pray for their families who are grasping for answers with broken hearts. We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city.
The city of Orlando has released the names and ages of 15 shooting victims, though many families and friends are still waiting for news of their loved ones. A visiting tourist from New York captured their anguish.
That's every parent's worst nightmare, to have their kid dead, no matter if they're gay or straight, transgender, whatever you want. And these people didn't have a choice. They were probably going out to grab a beer to say, oh, I'm celebrating my birthday. Maybe I just want to have fun with my best friend. They didn't have the choice.
Just a couple hours after the attack, police in Santa Monica, California, arrested a man traveling in a vehicle loaded with 3 assault rifles, ammunition, and chemicals used for explosives. The man, 20-year-old James Howell, told his arresting officers he was on his way to a gay pride parade in Los Angeles. Police said they have found no connection to the shooting in Orlando. The parade went ahead as planned. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
Coming back to South Korea, the investigation into Korea's 5th largest conglomerate, Lotte Group, is heating up. After a raid on Lotte's headquarters and the homes of key executives last week, authorities are beginning to gather the evidence to back up their suspicions of company slush funds and the group's murky governance structure. Kim Min-ji gives us the updates.
Prosecutors on Monday said investigators have found over $2 million in cash and a stash of documents belonging to Shin Gyuk-ho, the founder of Lotte Group. The trove was found in the home of the founder's niece, and prosecutors believe that it comes from the personal safe in his office at Lotte Hotel. Although company officials questioned on the matter have said the money is from dividends and salaries, prosecutors believe it is part of a company slush fund. In fact, prosecutors say they have traced over $25 million in dubious funds to Shin and his second son, Dongbin, the chairman of Lotte Group, through Lotte affiliates. This comes after prosecutors raided the company's head office, key branch offices, and the homes of key executives last Friday as part of a probe into the slush fund allegations, possible tax evasion, and allegations the company stockpiled wealth through internal trading among affiliates. In light of the probe, the group's key administrative and management body is also under pressure. Prosecutors plan to summon key executives from the policy headquarters, which also employs close aides of the owner family. With that, the conglomerate's business plans are taking a hit. Lotte Hotel had planned to go public on the local bourse in late June, but that's been pushed indefinitely. The group has also withdrawn its bid to take over US-based petrochemical firm Axiall Corporation. The investigation comes amid the ongoing internal strife between the group's chairman Shin Dongbin and his elder brother Dongju. The elder Shin was stripped of his executive titles at 3 of Lotte affiliates early last year and has since been struggling to claw his way back up. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Moving on to other stories, desertification is threatening an increasing number of developing nations affected by climate change. Myanmar is one such country, and Korea is rolling up its sleeves to help address the problem. Kwon So fills us in on Korea's official development assistance for forest management projects in Bagan.
Digging, planting, filling, pouring. Why are roughly 30 Koreans helping area residents plant trees in the middle of Myanmar's central city of Bagan? It's part of a project by the Korea International Cooperation Agency, or KOICA, to help the country prevent desertification and lower the risk to people's livelihoods. Jaokbinkan is a village of around 300 households, and most residents make a living by farming. They get their daily water supply from this reservoir, which KOICA helped them dredge up last year, along with planting trees nearby. That was crucial to preserving as much water as possible. The organization had previously provided every household with efficient wood-burning ovens, which helped save both trees and energy.
We used to burn around 10 pieces of firewood to cook, and now we use around half the amount.
Not far from the village is the third out of 4 afforestation sites. These are part of a KOICA project seeking to plant trees on hundreds of hectares of land and raise residents' awareness of the seriousness of desertification.
We started the first project in 1998. Back then, the residents used the young trees for firewood, leading to losses of almost 60%. That's why we also initiated an education program for the residents to boost the results.
This is one of the driest places in Myanmar. And due to climate change, the amount of precipitation is getting lower year by year. The reason why there need to be more trees planted in areas like these.
Experts say other regions get about 2,800 millimeters of rain every year, while the central dry zone gets just 500, and El Niño is making things worse. The principle of the freshly planted trees works in that the roots absorb rain, turning the soil from sandy to moist.
The project also aims to create more jobs for the residents, giving them responsibility to manage their forests, boost agricultural productivity, and improve their quality of life. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News, Bagan.
That's all the time we have for this hour's newscast. For more updates, do tune in at 10 p.m. Korea time. Thank you for watching.